Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TARDIS Zone Talks. We're here to talk about RTD and your favorite RTD era stories, episodes, two-parters, whatever you want to tell me. So, for the next hour, let's do something a little bit positive. I'm seeing too much negativity out there, so instead of having a rant and giving out about it, I'm just gonna do an old positive stream and talk about something positive. And as RTD has returned to the show, I think, it'd be fitting to talk about our favorite RTD era episodes. And yeah, obviously, you guys can get your comments in. Let me know what you guys, what your favorite stories are. Right now, we've got Daniel in the chat, and we've got one of our members, Garbage. Hey, Garbage. Sorry about the last couple of streams. Obviously, we've been streaming at different times, and Garbage has managed two streams in a row or something to come in right at the end. But I'm glad you're here for the very start of it. So as I said, we're here to talk about your favorite for the next hour. We're here to talk about your favorite RTD era stories. So as soon as we get a few more people in the chat, I'll start asking you guys, and I'll give you some of my favorites as well. We've got Cinnamon Toast Crunch, also a member in the chat as well. And remember, if you haven't become a member, we are doing RTD era. We're starting with Series 1, and we'll finish with his specials. So if you want to be in the chat for that, become a member. There will be another member stream with Daniel. We'll try and organize it now for early next week. And then I'll have another one hopefully then at the end of next week as well. So 2 member streams to come next week as well. And won't be able to type much as about to drive again. No problem yet. Don't text and drive. Just listen, Garbage. But you watch yourself. We've got the legend of the traveling TARDIS in the chat as well. So remember, if you want to be part of those, part of the chat for those RTD era streams, please become a member. And someone was saying, you'll just have people coming on and they'll be moaning and all of this. No, I'll be bringing on people that are fans of the RTD era. Yeah, of course, there'll be no point, you know what I mean? Look, we know there's some people out there that, all of a sudden, I will say, are hesitant about RTD, when he proved himself already. But that's fair enough. But no, as I said, I'm kind of sick of all the negativity. So I don't want any negativity when I'm doing the streams. So we'll be bringing on people that are actually fans of the RTD era. Super fans, as to say. We won't call them stans, but, you know what I mean. We'll call them RTD fanboy or fangirls. And so, yeah. Too many to pick, LOL. Well, that's why we're here for an hour. So if you have a top 5, and I'll discuss your top 5, make it easy. So out of 4 seasons and all the specials, if you want to pick 5 of your favorite episodes, write them up and I'll read them out and we'll discuss them. So I'll start off anyway. And I'm going to start off with the very first episode, Rose. Now, you'll say, well, why is Rose one of your favorite episodes? Well, it's quite simple, really. The story is pretty basic, right? So the story is not hard to follow. But the thing about it is there was so much riding on this episode. Even RTD said it himself. It could have went either way. So for me, I think it's a very important story. And it is one of my favourites. It has some of the funny moments in it. It also has some shocking moments in it. I mean, Clive being murdered in front of his wife and child. I mean, you've got to, you know, I was recently watching these episodes again. I mean, there was some dark undertones to some of these episodes. See, even after all of these years, it's like peeling back an onion. There's layer after layer after layer after layer when you watch an RTD era story. So for me, you know, that speech that he made to Rose, I think that was the moment we all knew Doctor Who was back. To be quite honest, Billy Piper herself, you know, to come from a singing background and to be thrust into this show and to do as well as she actually did do. I know for me personally, the Rose character kind of got a bit annoying, but Billy herself, the actress, to come from the background that she did and to do what she was doing and to have the troubles that she was having as well as Christopher Eccleston, while she was on Doctor Who. You know, you've got to give the two of them credit where credit is due. I mean, they were able to put their personal family lives and whatever was going on in their lives in the back of their minds and create the Doctor Who that they created. Do two parters. Yeah, as I said, if you've got a two-part story that you want to mention, you're more than welcome. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. 9 billion people clinging to the skin of the planet, says On Comics. Big up Clive from Middlesbrough. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna put Rose in there because it still is. I mean, the CGI is crap now, but it's still a good story. There's it's interesting, and it could have went either way. So I'm gonna throw Rose in there. Now I'm not gonna go through every episode in order if that's what you think. I'm just putting Rose in first to get it done and over with because it was his first story. It's like picking 5 of your 30 favorite children. Yeah, but here's the thing. That's what makes it. This is what is going to make this even better because you have to really think about it, you know. And look, I know obviously a top 5 will probably change. Maybe we'll address this again before ETD, before RTD. Until the 60th starts, we might do it when we know the 60th whole thing is starting. Maybe the week before, we'll do this again and see if everybody's top 5 has changed. But for now, how you are feeling now? Give me your top 5 stories. They don't have to be in any particular order. You could just write the 5 stories up if you don't want to put them in a particular order. If you know what I mean, number them. You don't have to number them. You could just put the 5 stories up, and you know we'll just discuss them. Right, so the audience is starting to pick up a little bit. Obviously, it's 4:30, so it's a bit of an awkward time. But I'm out here because I'm streaming because the wife is watching actually the Bleeding Jubilee. I'm an Irishman and we're married to an American, and you know the way they say Americans love the royal family? Well, it's fucking true, man. She's in there watching the Bleeding Jubilee. Man. And I'm here. That's why I'm streaming. Not watching no Jubilee. Sorry, no offense, but not watching it. So Daniel says, so we put Daniel's list up there now, and we'll discuss Daniel's list. So he says 5 Dalek, 4 Tooth and Claw, 3 Bad Wolf Parting of Ways, 2 Father's Day, and number 1 Turn Left, says Daniel. Right, so Dalek, obviously the fourth episode in the RTD era that featured obviously the Dalek, a Dalek, or the Daleks, a Dalek. And there was that great scene with Christopher Eccleston's Doctor and the Dalek when he was stuck in that room. You could tell the fear the Doctor had when he first saw a Dalek again, and Christopher Eccleston, that wouldn't have worked if his acting wasn't convincing, and it certainly was. Great episode, I have to say, Daniel. One of my favourites as well. I will say that. It's a cracking story. It was a nice way of reintroducing the Daleks to the newer audience as well. Yeah, cracking story, man. Cracking story. Tooth and Claw is another favourite of mine as well, Daniel, I have to say. We both have similar tastes here. Tooth and Claw is obviously the Queen Victoria werewolf episode with the big telescope, and it's not a telescope, it's really a weapon and stuff. That whole story, the atmosphere, the tension, absolutely fantastic. And I have to say that transformation still to this day gives me goosebumps. Very well done. The werewolf itself, brilliant looking. It's just a pity they didn't have a bit more money, because that would have looked terrific. Could you imagine actually if they updated the special effects on the RTD era, right? And they fixed, or they updated it for with today's technology. Jesus Christ, that Tooth and Claw episode would be absolutely terrifying. Great episode, great story. Obviously, it was the episode where Torchwood was established as well. Another cracking episode, Daniel. For number 3, he has Bad Wolf and the Parting of Ways. Again, that was the two-parter at the end, wasn't it, of season 1? Yeah, it was it. Look, the reason why I it's not that I hate that two-parter. It's a great two-parter. It's just I know Christopher Eccleston regenerates. And at the time I was gutted because I truly believed he could be the Doctor for years to come. I wasn't convinced about Eccleston at first, as I've made it clear to a lot of people on this channel. Again, we always have a bit of hesitancy when it comes to a new Doctor. It's when they're actually in the role and then you see them and then you can see what RTD saw. And Eccleston, for me, was a great Doctor at the time. And still is. He still is a great Doctor. But what I mean, at that time, I truly believed he was up there. He was a great Doctor. It's just sad that we didn't get a couple of more seasons with him. But yeah, good choice again. But at number 1, he has. At number 2, he has Father's Day. Again, Father's Day is obviously where we hear about Pete Tyler a lot. But this is the episode where we're actually introduced to Pete Tyler. And Rose at first is kind of, suspicious of her dad. He looks like a bit of a Jack the Lad. She even questions, were you cheating on Jackie? But, they have their moments of bonding. Of course, this is all Rose's fault because she selfishly tried to save her dad. And that was the first red flag for me when it came to Rose. That, when he originally did, because he does say the line to her, well, I told you that this was that we could travel through space. But then as soon as I mentioned time, that's when you basically came on board. So you had this planned, or I picked another stupid one, So again, it's a great story. Then we get to see why Mickey has a bit of a fascination with Rose, so that all kind of makes sense as well. It's clever how RTD does it, actually. And then, we've got Pete Tyler then, who by the end becomes the dad that Rose believed that he was, and he protects his daughter by basically running out in front of the road, figuring it all out, and getting knocked down, just to put everything right. And bit of redemption for Pete there as well. Rose gets to say goodbye to her dad, and it's an emotional story, that one. We've got also Daniel, and he's number one is Torn Left. Now, Daniel knows, and everybody knows how I feel about Torn Left. Great story. I class as part of it. They always say it's a two-part finale, but I like to believe it's a three-part finale, because Torn Left at the end of that connects to the next episode anyway. So, in fairness to me, it's a three-part finale. But Torn Left is obviously a very interesting episode. It's basically the episode where if Donna had made different decisions, and we'd see the consequences of having no doctor around, because obviously the doctor died under the Thames, and we see all the consequence of that. And it was a very the tone of this episode was very dark as well, because then you had that family that were put on the back of the truck, and it was basically Britain for Britain and all of this, and it was happening again like they did in World War II, putting them into camps and stuff like that. So it was a very harrowing story, but within that, there was hope, and there was, that was the message that Rose was trying to convey to Don. Even though all of these horrible things are happening, there's someone who can make this all right, and you are a very important part of all of that. So yeah, for me, Torn Left is one of those episodes. Look, I love Torn Left. It's up there for me. And I mean, the whole three-part finale, it's a three-part finale for me. Look, it's as good as RTD could do with the budget that he had. I had problems with the other two stories, but we won't get into that. But it was still a good two-part or three-part finale, in my opinion. So let's see. No, we're talking about RTD era stories within the RTD era. Father's Day, oh man, bad continuity, but great story, and a doctor, and a Doctor Light. Yeah, well, it is kind of Doctor Light, isn't it? In no particular order, Cinnamon Toast Crunch will throw. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is a member as well, so thank you for that. In no particular order: 1, The Waters of Mars; 2, Midnight. No, sorry, in no particular order, yeah. 1, The Waters of Mars; 2, Midnight; 3, Blink; 4, Gridlock; and 5, End of Time Part 1 and 2. Right, well, the only special that I actually liked when David Tennant was leaving was The Waters of Mars. I mean, The Dead Planet wasn't a bad episode, but out of all of the specials, I think this was the strongest one. I didn't like End of Time Part 1 and 2. There was some moments in it. There's a couple of moments with Wilf and the Doctor. That's actually they're actually great moments. But I wasn't a fan of those. But going back to The Waters of Mars, again, another episode and another story where the tension was built up. You knew there was something going on. But every time David Tennant puts that iconic orange spacesuit on. We know what happens. Shit goes down. So yeah, Waters of Mars, I love it. The Doctor kind of loses the plot a bit. He's sick of losing people, and Time Lord victorious, which I know they've done the audios, but they made a big deal out of them. But I don't actually hear people talking about those audios anymore. So that kind of went down the pan pretty quick enough, I have to say. But I do love the Waters of Mars. Midnight for me, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, is probably one of David Tennant's best, if not up there as his best. This is just like how many characters. There's 1, 2, 3. There's the professor, your student. There's the air hostess lady. There's some other guy. There's Sky as well. Right, so there's about 7. Say there's 7 people on a transport thing. Right, this is no Catherine Tate in this episode. This is just David Tennant with a group of people, right? And they're on this transport thing, as you all know, and then obviously it stops in the middle of somewhere. And then David Tennant goes into the control room and you can see something going across the screen as the visors coming down, and they're building that tension up, and then the knocking starts. And then you see the different human reactions inside the transport. This is what's brilliant about it. The Doctor is the one that's calm, right? And the rest of them are all at different levels of losing the plot or trying to figure out. There's some, like the student, for example, being smart and trying to figure it out, and the professor saying, well, you're only a dumb person. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm the expert and all of that. And there's different tensions and stuff going on. And then your woman, Sky, and the Doctor, when they're doing the talking and the repeating, and then it goes a bit for, oh man. It's one of my favourite stories. It's a scary story as well because the tension is built up absolutely fantastic. There's you never see the alien or the creature or the entity. And that is just brilliant to me. And again, this is a place that the Doctor could re-explore again in the new era, right? Because they could end up going back there and they built a new palace somewhere else, but then all shit breaks loose or something like that. Obviously Blink, right? Now, controversial, but for me, Blink is a good story, right? It is a good story, but for me, it's overrated. I think The Time of the Angels is a better Weeping Angel story, actually, than Blink. But again, Blink does what Midnight did. They build up the tension. They go to this creepy old house. There's all this wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff going on as well. It's the first time we're introduced to the Weeping Angels, and they were something new, and everybody loved them, including myself. And I do love the Weeping Angels, by the way. I want to make that clear. I just think that 2-parter, The Time of the Angels, and the other one, I keep forgetting. A Flesh and Stone. They're the better Weeping Angel stories for me. But Blink is brilliant. But I do think it's overrated. Gridlocked is one of those stories you're either going to love or you're going to hate. For me, I love it. I love it because it's an episode filled with hope when things seem dire. And what I'm talking about, obviously, is the fact that there are thousands of people stuck on this motorway. They're sealed off from the outside world, but what they don't realise is they think they're alone. But what they don't realise is the whole planet is dead, and they lock them in to save their lives, basically. So if there was a chance for rebuilding, they could. But in the midst of all of that, you have that song, that little anthem, where they're told that, the people are still thinking about you. We haven't forgotten you. And there's that message of hope all the way through. And also you got the doctor dealing with the fact that he hasn't treated Martha Jones very well up until this point. And he loses her and he goes into panic mode and tries everything to save her. And then by the end of the episode, you have him sitting down and he finally tells Martha the truth. Lying about Gallifrey, saying that it felt good to believe that they were back. And that was a very emotional moment, I have to say. And that's what RTD does very well. I mean, I had a lump in my throat. Anytime he spoke about Gallifrey, actually, I nearly came to tears. And I know it's a fictional place, but he makes you believe it so much that Gallifrey is real and it's there. And you just see David's doctor at that moment, coming to the realization too that, he's got to move forward. He's got to let go. And I think that's why by Matt Smith's regeneration, he chose to kind of forget, So it kind of makes sense. The End of Time Part 1 and 2, I've got to be brief on this. As I said, the Wilf moments and the Doctor moments are great. I didn't like Superman or Super Leapy Time Master. I thought John Sims' acting in this was over the top, actually. His master, up until that point, before we got to that point, his master was fine. This is where I think RTD and John Sim kind of lost the plot on the master. And again, you've got these spiky green people. You got the master changing all the faces into him. I'm sorry, it still doesn't. And then the whole speech, I don't want to go, it just annoyed me. But that's just my personal opinion. But again, that's a good list there, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I mean, The Waters of Mars, Midnight, Blink, and Gridlocked, I'd agree with you with. And of course, we've all got our personal taste. Listen, for God's sake, Love of Monsters is up there for me, so I can hardly complain. And I know it's hard to kind of just pick 5. That's why I said 5. So I know your list would probably change. But as I said, I love Love of Monsters, so I can't say anything. So the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS has went one better. He's given the stories that RTD wrote himself. So number 5, The Long Game. Number 4, The Next Doctor. Number 3, The Waters of Mars. Number 2, The Parting of Ways. And number 1, Rose. Well, we've already discussed Rose and the Parting of Ways with The Waters of Mars as well. Gave comments on that. The Next Doctor, that was the one, wasn't that the one with is it David Morrissey? I keep getting that actor's name, where he played a version of the Doctor because he had the Doctor's memories. Do you know what? His name floated about quite a lot over the years. And you know what? I think he would have made a great Doctor. And I think he proved it in that story. I don't know now if he would take it now. Maybe after Shooty leaves or something. But yeah, good story. That was the one with the big cyber robot in Victoria, London. I actually did like that story, actually. I forgot about that one. Thanks for reminding me about that one. The Long Game. The Long Game. That's if I'm correct, because me memory isn't that the Simon Pegg one? Is that the Simon Pegg one? That's the one with the android and all of that, isn't it? I'll just go down just in case anybody. Yeah, Simon Pegg was the body. Yeah, I just went down to the because I'm behind on the comments. I just wanted to. Yeah, I like that story. I like that story. I thought, do you know what? It was nice because Simon Pegg, as you know, is a nerd, right? He's a geek like us all, right? Um, and he's a fan of Star Trek, and obviously he's got to live his dream and that. But he's also been a huge fan of Doctor Who, and he's a fan of sci-fi in general and comic books and stuff like that. That's why he's done movies like Paul and all of that. He loves his comic books and stuff like that. Yeah, The Long Game for me was a great story, actually. I like that one. It's been a while since I've seen it. That was obviously the one where the Daleks were no, not with the Daleks, the Jaguar Fest. Yeah, the Jaguar Fest or Max. But I did like that episode. Good story, actually. I haven't seen that in a while. Now, thanks for reminding me about that one. Ah, no, did you know what Sadako though? You know what? See. This is the thing, right? It doesn't matter if I had on the nose moments, as you say, right? Did you enjoy the story? You know what I mean? Was the writing up the par? That's 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 what people should. And I'm not having a go here, by the way. I just want to make that clear. I'm not actually having a go. All I'm just saying is, if you enjoyed the story, right, and there was the right amount of tension there, and that was keeping you glued to the screen. Doesn't matter if I had some on the nose moments. Who cares? If you enjoyed the story, you enjoyed the story. That shouldn't matter. See, this is what's happening today. We're getting too caught up on that. Just because there's some things creep into our media, we mightn't like it, but it's happening, right? But if this writing is great, okay, none of those things should matter if you're enjoying the story. That's all I'm saying. I'm not having a go. I'm just saying that's the way we should be looking at it. But unfortunately, we don't. Midnight and Gridlocked are two great episodes. Also says garbage. They are indeed. They are indeed. And Garbage makes a good point there. Actually, a lot of New Who would have benefited with 60-minute long episodes. And Daniel even said, "My only criticism of Midnight it needed to be a bit longer for me to be a good story." For me, though, right, I'm going to say this, and people might disagree with me on it, and you can if you want, of course. But for me, I think Midnight would have benefited being a two-part story, actually. You could have had it as a two-parter, but I can understand why it was one part because there was a lot of conversation, right? There was a lot of, the Doctor getting to know the different characters and stuff like that. And maybe if that had been drawn out a bit longer, people wouldn't have probably stuck with it, if you get what I mean. They probably would have tuned out and maybe decided then, well, we'll see what happens in part two, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, maybe the RTD episodes, some of the stories could have benefited from 60 minutes. Yeah, as Cinnamon Toast Crunch said, 60 minutes would have probably been just about right for stories like that anyway. Yeah, I've just seen your message. No, I'm not bringing anybody on today. I will be doing a panel next week because it's been a while since we brought people on. So we'll be doing the panel next week. I'm only live for an hour today. What you call it, but I will be doing the panel next week. I have to get in touch with a few people now because they're not on Twitter anymore, and see if they're available as well. And we'll bring on a big owl panel, and maybe we'll get the panel's opinions on certain RTD episodes and see what happens there. Cinnamon Toast Crunch says, I personally don't see any immigration references in it. The throw them out was about Sky and 10, says Cinnamon. Look, people are gonna interpret episodes in different ways. And we've seen that especially through the Chris Chibnall era, right? We can see the episodes for what they are. But the Jodie Whittaker fans and the Stans and all of the other people that praise this can't see what we see. So everybody, as I said, is going to see different things in different episodes. There's nothing new in that, and that'll always happen. And that's not a criticism. Everybody just has the different points of view. And that's the way it should be, and that's how conversation is generated and how debates are done. It's we've had 5 years of people like basically bashing each other over the head and threatening and stuff like that, and that's not the way it should be. There's always room for debate, even if you don't agree with someone. But when you start getting personal and attacking people, you already lost the argument. But as I said, I've never had a problem with the way people interpret things. You know what I mean? Everybody will interpret it the way they interpret it, and that's it. But as I said, if the writing is good and the writing is up to scratch, and the characters are all great and are really character driven, written well, and you've got good plots, all of that other stuff that people mention, you don't focus on that. You focus on how good the episode actually was and the writing was and stuff, and those things. See, we're too hyper focused for looking for stuff to give out about. And that's what's happened over the last 5 years. And we got to move away from that. See, this is the thing, right? I've been watching the shows of the 80s and 90s back in the day. And I can tell you, maybe we just didn't see it back then. But I think people are there's a bit of an overreaction, because if you look at some of the media back in the day, they're as woke as they bleed and come. They dealt with social issues and stuff like that, and nobody ever had a problem with it. Yeah, I know it's different today because they just focus on that. There wasn't good writing behind it. And this is why there's the problem, because you don't have the good writing behind it. Right? But if you get the writing done well, and you know what you're doing, all of that is in the background. For example, Cobra Kai, right? It's kind of funny that the people giving out about wokeness, right, are not complaining about Cobra Kai, because Cobra Kai has a lot of woke elements to it. But have you noticed people are not giving out about them? And the reason why people are not giving out about them is because the writing is superb. Right? So they don't focus on that. But there is a tendency nowadays to just focus and look for things that are wrong, instead of actually sitting back and enjoying these things. And if the writing is bad, fair enough. But if the writing is good, then you shouldn't be, you know what I mean? All of those other things shouldn't matter. Cinnamon Toast Crunch with another one there says, I would have to say the Lazarus Experiment, a favourite of mine. I loved the monster as a child. Even today, the design still holds up, even if it looks like it's in 20. Right, I love the Lazarus Experiment, but the CGI for the creature, I'm sorry, is terrible. Um, it's actually terrible. I recently watched that episode again. Again, the tension, you know, uh, Lazarus talking to his wife about where he was born, that nice little moment up in the office talking about the war and stuff like that, and an old man trying to cling on to life by, trying to reverse his aging process, doing anything, using all his money, his power, his influence, so he doesn't die. Um, but I have to say that CGI fucking Lazarus thing, scorpion looking thing is very bad. Is very bad. But the episode itself and the writing itself is superb, right? And again, I'm just criticizing the CGI. We've got to remember it is back in the day, But again, as I said, could you imagine if those RTD episodes were updated with newer CGI, right? With updated effects, right? It would just give it an extra dimension. Yeah, the design is great. The creature is great. It's very well. Look at for the time, it was very well done. It's just it's aged very badly now, and I'm not. At the end of the day, as I said, none of that counts though. If the writing is up to scratch, and again, it was. So I can overlook that. And again though, it kind of does give that the RTD era a kind of a classic new Who, as someone actually said it well, classic new Who feel. Um, and that's what it's done. So it does have a charm. So, by the way, even though I'm saying the CGI is bad, I'm not criticizing the story. I'm not criticizing the design. It was great. It's just it looks terrible now. Jack says I never minded it. Oh yeah, don't. But yes, the CGI isn't very good, but you love the design, and yeah. So as I said, remember I'll be organising that member stream with Daniel, and then at the end of the week, next week, hopefully then Jack and myself will be up for a member stream as well. I'm gonna organise all of that early next week, get it done. Hopefully we'll get Daniel on early next week, and then at the end of the week, then we'll get Jack on as promised. So we'll do that. So members, look out for that. This is why I'm so excited for the new era, because Russell had to work in a limited budget and technology. Imagine what he could do today. And I think this is why I wanted to do this stream. Because, talking about his stories and his episodes and his era, will kind of remind people of it'll remind people that either how good they believe he was, or obviously if people out there are hesitant, maybe watching his era again or discussing it, talking about their favorite episodes. At the end of the day, as I said, I've been sick and tired of the negativity lately, and I wanted to do something positive. And I wanted to talk about RTD because obviously he is the next showrunner. And kind of in my way, I wanted people to discuss the episodes that were their favourites. And also to remind those fans that have fallen out with Doctor Who. Some of you were in love with Doctor Who when RTD was in charge. maybe it's time to remind those people as well how good he actually was. So, yeah. But another story, obviously, I would throw in there. It's a two-part story that nobody has actually brought up, and I'm actually surprised because I think it's a very, it's another one of those stories that has great tension, very scary, has scary moments in it actually, and that's the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. Obviously, that's the one where they explore evil, if that's what you want to call it, the devil, El Diablo, whatever you want to bleed and call him, Satan, the Dark Lord of Evil. Very clever story, very well written. All of the characters that are in it play their part. You can all tell, you know, you can tell that they're all being tested. Look at it. I think it's great. The Ood are in it, and who doesn't like the Ood? Um, I love it. I love that's. I think people forget that one again. David Tennant wears the iconic orange spacesuit for that one. Hello from the Gulf Coast. I call the RTD era classic New Who, says Tardis Spoiler. I couldn't agree more. Series 1 to 5 feels like classic New Who. Yeah, and we would add Stephen Moffat's 4th series, I have to say, because his 4th series is brilliant. I just didn't like the resolution to the end, but that's for another day. I actually met the guy who played Toby in a theme park once. I mean, yeah, even that, when poor Toby transforms and changes and has the symbols on his face. I mean, I can imagine kids back in the day when they were watching that. I mean, Doctor Who, even Jordan RTD's era, scared the crap out of kids. And that's what it needs to do again, right? It really does. And some people might frown upon that are on the other side. They say, Doctor Who should have a lighter tone, But for me, there should be always the scares in there. It should have some dark themes in it as well. And it should have all of those joyous plots, for hope, all of that we associate with Doctor Who. Needs to go back to that. I'm sick of the cloudy, fluffy crap that we're getting during the Whittaker era, even though there has been some dark moments in that as well. But let's be honest, it's kind of like Doctor Who for CBBS, right? It's not Doctor Who for kids, adults, and teenagers alike. It's CBBS Doctor Bleeding Who. It needs to change. It needs to go back to scaring the kids. It needs reviewers to be coming out and saying, "Oh, this is too scary for kids." Hold on to your kids while you're watching tonight's episode of Doctor Who. That's what we need to hear. That's what it should be doing. And hopefully it gets back to that. And RTD is the master of that, to be quite honest with you. So I think we will. I think we will. I'm Mobile's largest YouTuber with 246 subs. Mobile, what's that mean? You on your phone? That's absolutely fantastic. I don't know what you mean by that, but 246 subs is not to be sniffed at nowadays. That's absolutely fantastic. I hope whatever your personal goal is, I hope you reach it. We always encourage and try to support as many YouTubers out there or YouTubers as we can. So good luck with that. If you want to put the link to your channel in the link description, you're more than welcome. In the chat, you're more than welcome to do so. Brisk said, I started in the Moffat era, so Doctor Who has always been pretty fluffy to me, but I definitely agree the show needs the edge back. Let me see. Have I forgotten the chat? Which part? I'm in Central Florida. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, that's for TARDIS time. I was like, what's going on there? I don't know. Am I missing something? Chris, our mod, has put TARDIS Spoilers channel in the chat there. So absolutely fantastic. Sadako24 says, I grew up on BBC repeats of the Damon's, I can never say that right, Genesis and the Revolution of the Daleks. It wasn't, to my mind, a fluffy show, at least not as I was introduced to it. No, I mean, those stories are quite fucking, Look, Doctor Who... you could argue and say that Doctor Who lost its edge when New Who was reintroduced, but I mean, as I said, RTD did have that edge to a certain extent, but Classic Who was definitely not for the faint-hearted, especially some of the stories. Lee Halford says, but we're doing RTD, but I'll read your comment out, but we're just focusing on RTD. So he says, best ever episode of New Who was Heaven Sent. I would agree with you on that one anyway. And nothing to do with RTD. RTD's worst was the god-awful Voyage of the Damned. I love that story, which has probably got the highest viewing figures of all. I love that story because it's got the Titanic in it. Some of the characters are annoying, I won't lie. But I do like that story. All right, I haven't got a clue what's going on, Chris. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, a member, again, with a comment. Hold on, I don't know why that happened. It jumped there. The chat just jumped. Hold on. There it is. I think Doctor Who was better in its darker moments. Philip Hinchcliffe's era was quite darker and more violent. The last two seasons of Sylvester's era were quite creepy. The Curse of Henrik. Yeah, I would agree. But this is the problem. We're afraid to scare kids nowadays. It's probably some sort of, I wouldn't be surprised if the left would see it as some form of abuse or something. Subjecting your kids to frightening things because they want to mollycoddle kids nowadays. They don't want to scare kids. I mean, they've done us no harm. Voyage of the Damned was okay, says Sadaka24. Look, again, as I said, I love it. Obviously, there's some people that don't. And there'll be some people that think it's okay, and some people think it's average, and some people think it's very bad. And that's, again, personal taste. As I said, I'm a big fan of Love and Monsters. I get a lot of stick for that, but I'm a huge fan of Love and Monsters. It knows what it is. It's not trying to be serious. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think it's a good story. I think it's a good story. So yeah, I mean, what we got a couple of minutes left anyway. Um, but in summary, I mean, look, this is another reason why I'm giving RTD a go. For the simple reason is what most of us have spoke about as well. Some of those stories that we've mentioned, there's a lot of good stories there. Listen, did he get everything right? No, no showrunner is perfect. But compared to the other two that we had after him, um, he got a lot more things right than the other two did. Um, and for me, that's why his return is most welcome. He proved himself once. He delivered some great stories. He can deliver again, and I have no doubts whatsoever that he can deliver again. I just hope that the current mood changes eventually, hopefully, when more announcements are made and we get to see and piece together the jigsaw, the picture of what RTD's era is going to look like. And until I see something on screen, I remain optimistic about the future of Doctor Who. And look, if there are people out there that don't, that's fine. Fair enough. But as I said, I do. And nothing has changed for me. As I said, I was always giving RTD a go. I will give him a go. And so far, you know, I don't have the concerns that some fans have out there at the moment. I can understand why they have concerns, but I'm looking at what he's done in the past, what he achieved in the past with Doctor Who, and what he delivered in the past with Doctor Who. And with that evidence in mind, that's why I am optimistic about the future. Let's hope that he can win over the fandom completely. It'd be nice. And let's hope he can kickstart his era off with a bang. We have the 60th first, of course. But then when season 14 gets into full swing, let's hope he can hit the ground running once again. And we'll leave with a couple of comments here. Cinnamon Toast Crunch says, RTD said in an interview that he loved to make some episodes scary, but he knew there was a line with blood being shown on camera, which is, of course, fair. I do agree with that. And we'll finish with Daniel's comment, and he says, I'm giving RTD a chance too. And, at the end of the day, that is actually nice to hear. Because, as I said, I was like a lot of many people out there that believed that this show was done. Seriously. But the reaction to RTD's return and then the announcements that we've had since have shown me, as I said, that there's still life in this old show. Yeah, I thought it was done and dusted, but the way it's been trending, no matter what people say out there, they can say whatever and they can try twist the narrative and all of that. Doctor Who, I've never seen Doctor Who trend as much or be as popular as it has over the last 6-7 years. This has been extraordinary what's happened. He's lit a fire or he's done something to this fandom already and he hasn't even wrote anything on screen. And as I said, the reaction to him being on set, right, for a lot of fans, That was the moment. That was the moment for them. When they seen him walk onto that set and they seen that RTD was there, that was the moment for them. That was the moment they knew that Doctor Who would be in safe hands. And I do truly believe that. And listen, if it all goes pear-shaped and wrong, fair enough, as I said, I'll come out, I'll say I was wrong, but then I'm moving on. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to, if this show isn't for me anymore, and it's made clear it's not for me anymore, I will move on this time. You know? I will move on this time. There'll be no point of giving out about it week in, week out. What's the point? You know what I mean? I've already done that with the Whittaker era. It was justified. But I'm not going to do it to a showrunner that I actually like. And if he does go the other way with it, that's fine. That's his choice. I won't be happy about it. But at the end of the day, I'll just move on. There'd be no point of keeping this argument up all the time. You know, but we'll see what happens. As I said, I'm optimistic, like a lot of people out there. I've, as I said, you know, there is a narrative out there that this show is done, and it's never going to, it's not going to recover. That remains to be seen. The evidence to me shows that fans are on board. I've also seen a lot of YouTubers and also social media accounts that went away during the Whittaker era, even the Peter Capaldi era, return onto social media. It's had an impact, whether people agree with it or not. It actually has. As I said, 54,000 tweets in Ireland alone talking about Doctor Who. That's never happened. That's never happened. Even Marty will back me up on that one, and he did. He backed me up on the stream. That's never happened. 54,000 tweets for Doctor Who in Ireland does not happen, right? But it did. It did. It peaked when RTD was saying, and that's what I'm saying. When that video of him was released by whoever was there at filming, that's when the spike happened. He's back. He's back. So let's see what he does. Let's see what he does. But yeah, as I said, I'm looking forward to it and see what happens. We haven't had Anton in a while, so you want to get moving on something. So RTD, come on, give us something to talk about, will you? Because Chris has given us nothing. I mean, we have a centenary coming up, by the way. And I just want to make that clear. We actually have a centenary episode coming up, and I've heard nothing about it. We haven't even gotten a trailer, right? That's coming in October, right? We're in June now. When are we actually going to get a bloody trailer? A proper trailer? Unbelievable. But again, this is this era. But we got one more episode to go. One more story. And nothing. Nada. Not a whisper. Anyway, we'll leave it there anyway. I have to give RTD a fair shake. Well, that's what I'm going to do. And, you know, as I said, people can feel how they feel, but I'm giving them a go. And I'm going to stay true to that because that's what I said I was going to do. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Even the social media accounts are quiet about the centenary. They are. Right, well, I'm going to go because as you have seen in the chat, Teddy is given out to me because I haven't fed his mammy. So I've got to cook the dinner. So I better go before Ted completely kicks me ass. Daniel says, thanks, Noel, for the stream. No problem. Yeah, Daniel, let me know on Messenger what day next week best suits you. So, and Jack, if you're still listening as well, so for the second half of next week, if you could tell me whether Thursday or Friday suits you, let me know. You're not the only one that's forgotten to cook. I have to do the same, Noel. Yeah, well, I better go before I do Starver. But as I said, Jack and Daniel, if the both of you can, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm obviously going to be going off and cook. So whatever day you are available, Daniel, your start of the week. So Monday to Wednesday, you have a choice between one of those 3 days, and then for yourself, Jack, Thursday or Friday. So let me know. Thanks for the stream, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Stay safe, be well, and smash that like button, says Chris. I agree. Lovely little chill stream, nice nostalgia down memory lane. We may do another one. Because obviously, we started a bit early with this one, and some people may have missed out. Or as I said, what we probably do is next week we'll do another one. We bring on a panel and maybe hear what the panel have to say about their favorite RTD era story. See what's in their top 5. That'll be interesting. So yeah, right, gonna go. Have a good one. Look after yourselves and stay safe. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and if you haven't subscribed, please do press that bell for your notifications. And also, I've been streaming Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Irish Geek, and it's gotten a quite a positive reaction. So if you're into gaming streams, come and watch me on the Irish Geek. That's my other channel, where we do Red Dead Redemption 2 streams. If you missed it last night, all hell broke loose. We lost half of the gang. I'm still shocked over that. Now we've been washed on to some island off the coast of Cuba, and now we're trying to get off that island to try and get our family and friends and stuff like that. So it's all hell has broken loose. So if you're interested in watching gaming streams, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Western kind of thing. It's very good. Come and watch me play that on the Irish Geek. I believe your Discord link has expired. Might want to change the link on the channel. Yeah, I'll do that. Nobody's been really active on Discord. So until it starts getting active, I mean, I've been on it a few times myself, but nobody seems to be interested. So we'll give it a few more weeks or a month or two, and if it doesn't pick up, I'm just gonna delete it, because no point of having Discord if nobody is going to get involved. If people would just rather get involved in the live chat, that's fair enough. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, force it. You know what I mean? So I'll sort the Discord out. We got a new member. James Dawson has become a member of the Tarda Zone community. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We'll put him up there. So there we got a new member, James Dawson. So thank you for that. Don't forget, as I said, there's already 2 member streams up now. We had a problem with the first one because BBC decided to block it worldwide. So we've had to take the interviews out that we had in that stream. But myself and Marty did a second stream because we wanted to make up for the fact that the first stream had went awry. So there's 2 member streams up there right now. And we're going to have another 2 next week. We'll have one on early next week, and the one at the end of next week. So look out for them 2-member streams sandwiched in between more streams on the channel for the rest of the guys in the chat. So and James says hi, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch says take care, everyone. Thank you very much, and again, thank you for becoming a member. I think we've got 8 members now or something. So I just want to thank everybody that's become a member. I won't let you down. I will try, as I said, again, you guys are obviously supporting, everybody supports the channel, but obviously you guys are supporting the channel this way as well. And obviously I'll make sure that I put out streams that you guys can enjoy. And remember, if you are a member, you can suggest, obviously you can give me some suggestions if there's any topics you would like me to cover. Obviously we're not just going to cover Doctor Who and member streams, we'll cover other stuff as well. So if there's any topic of conversation that you'd like me to talk about, let me know. Cinnamon Toast Crunch says 9 members now, I think. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Seriously. But all of yous, I appreciate all of yous. Yous have all supported this channel through thick and thin, and it really, really humbles me. So thank you very much. So I will definitely leave it there now, because the missus, as I said, she'll be bleeding. She'll be like Skeletor by the time I'm finished talking. So I better feed her. So we'll leave it there, folks. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you weren't able to be here for the start of the stream, if you want to throw in what your 5 favorite RTD era episodes were, and then when we do the panel next week, if you want me to read them out, just let me know that I can read them out publicly, and I'll read your comment out. So we'll leave it there, folks. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Stay safe. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you for the next one.